There's a mayor that's in his French town and he's planning to charge people, hikers, they want to scale things like this, 15,000 euro to climb a nearby mountain in order to cover their rescue and potential burial and funeral expenses just in case they die. Yeah, that's the situation. So let's get to some details here. Jean-Marc Peillex, mayor of Saint-Gervias-les-Bains in France. Oh, did you guys like that? Did I nail that?
That was great.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
I was a little impressed.
Very French.
Let me reset here. He announced plans on Wednesday to charge climbers 15,000 euro. That's about $15,300 if they want to climb Mont Blanc, the highest mountain in the Alps, located along the borders of France, Italy, and Switzerland. His name is Peillex, said the amount adds up to the average cost of a rescue, 10,000 euro, and a funeral of 5,000 euro. So why is he doing this? He's imposed this measure in response to dozens defying warnings and engaging in what he described as a game of Russian roulette in climbing this damn mountain. Local guides suspended their operations along the route, which is accessible to climbers of any skill level, in mid-July, and that's due to heavy rockfall, with the local administration strongly advising people to avoid it. An intense, protracted heat wave has made conditions on the mountain more perilous. But because, I'm not gonna say just hikers. So since people, adventurous folks, they're kind of determined, they continued on anyway. So in a statement posted on Twitter, Peillex said that dozens of pseudo-mountaineers had ignored the warnings. He described how 5 Romanian visitors has attempted to ascent wearing shorts, trainers, and straw hats, and had to be turned back by mountain police before they met the end of their lives. This is what he argued. People wanna climb with death in their backpacks. So let's anticipate the cost of having to rescue them and for their burial, because it's unacceptable that French taxpayers should foot the bill. Pretty good statement, I think. Maybe French taxpayers would back that up, but there's a little bit of controversy when it comes to it, because there's other government officials that, as I mentioned, this is a mountain or a hiking range that surrounds a few countries here. The peak can also be reached from the Italian side of Mont Blanc, but Roberto Rota, the mayor of that Italian town, said that he has no plans to restrict the access to it. So one side you can, other side you can't, or one side you have to put up at least some cash. The mountain is not a property. We as administrators can limit ourselves to reporting suboptimal conditions along the routes, but asking for a deposit to climb to the top is really surreal. This Italian mayor's move is part of a larger trend of concern over safety and arrogant adventurers. The French side, actually is. So here's this: the debate over the safety of mountain activities this summer has heightened amid this heat wave, and since 11 people were killed when a huge mass of ice broke away from a glacier on the north side of the Marmolada, the highest peak in the Italian Dolomites, in early July. Mayors of towns surrounding the Marmolada closed off key access points due to safety concerns, but some climbers tried to circumvent that ban. Now, rangers in Alaska's Denali National Park as well recently said that they have seen a disturbing amount of overconfidence paired with inexperience in the Alaska range. That's after a climber was accused of lying in order to summon a helicopter rescue. So we've got one side of the mountain, you guys, that this French leader is like, listen, you got to pay 15,000 euros so we can figure this whole thing out when you die. It's a different kind of disclaimer when you sign those things off. And another side's like, cool, let them do it. If they want to die, they can die. He's like the Rocky. If he dies, he dies. It's just what it is. So there's a poll that we're putting up there that's asking, is it fair to charge people money to hike potentially dangerous trails? You guys can answer that question, all you members out there. But first, let's get our experts on this. Dan,
Experts.
you can convince some people. You're a hiker.
Yeah, a well-known hiker around the rough terrain of coastal Los Angeles County. And
lots of hills.
Well, lots of hills, occasionally ice if I bring some water. And I'm actually all for congestion pricing, especially in a lot of travel destinations. Europe's been doing it a lot, and they're continuing to handle the influx of people. And it's not just the influx of people who are coming through. It's not just seems like a cheap cash grab opportunity, like a lot of these things can happen to look like. But what this is looking like there are actual ramifications that an influx of travelers has on a city's infrastructure, on how they're able to provide for things. In this extreme case where you have people who are trying to climb a mountain and are oftentimes their hubris is getting in the way of their actual ability to do it. I mean, climbing up with a straw hat, not listening to park rangers, all those other different things. I want to know if these people are from English-speaking countries, because I have a hunch. But all of this stuff has to happen for a reason. I think the negative externalities of, to borrow an economics phrase, but the actions and behaviors that you do that impact a society that you otherwise don't deal with, you should have to foot the bill with. I mean, like, I don't know what the medical costs usually are when you have to get like medevaced or airlifted or whatever, but if it ends up being the French government, the French people, especially this like local mayoral town or area that they have to foot the bill for this, yeah, I think that's unfair. And if you get that deposit back afterwards for living, then hey, that's the price you pay for hiking that mountain. Go around the other side or pick another mountain or do something that, you know, fits your budget, but also your like, you know, tolerance for exhilaration and thrill, so to speak.
Rebuttal, Caroline?
No, I do agree that these warnings and very careful, very strong penalties for this type of thing are actually a good idea. I think like people today, especially influencers, like you see how people, and I agree, definitely like American English speaking, have just like been emboldened to go to a lot of spaces that they've seen one YouTube tutorial on and think that they're experts. I think the only problem is that like if it's a monetary, like if it's a fine in money, I don't think that'll stop like a lot of super rich people. Like they just would pay. I'm picturing someone like Logan Paul or Jake Paul. I don't even know if they're still around, but like they would just drop 15 grand to like go do this just for a bit. So I'm not convinced that like money would stop, you know, insanely rich people from thinking that they're invincible. But I don't know. I don't know what else they could do, but I do think it definitely is a problem, and I'm obsessed with the Italian response. That's just like, we don't care. Let them do it.
Let them do it. But this is the thing. What is the objective actually? Is it to keep them from attempting, or is it to have the money ready in case they don't make it? You know.
Oh yeah.
But then also, if they make it, maybe this could be the incentive, right? Dan, I think you kind of mentioned it in this way. It's a deposit rather than a payment, right? And if you make it back down, 15,000 euro will be waiting for you on the hood of your car, right?
I mean, when you made that comparison of, oh, you have ultra rich a-holes like Logan Paul, like the Paul brothers, who might risk their lives and throw in $15,000 or 15,000 euros, which of course will go to their supposed funeral fees. Heaven forbid anything happened to them during this yet another dumb stunt. But no, you definitely started to help me double down in my opinion by knowing that, oh, this wouldn't persuade that people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos from trying to do this thing.
Yeah.
All right.
But then
I think that the deposit's a good idea. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
But I mean, the one part that I did read about this, and maybe it's because this isn't an interest level for me, is that like this will basically price out people who aren't wealthy, who don't have 15,000 euro to drop because they want to climb a mountain. Maybe someone who is just a normal guy is like, I want to try it. I'm a mountain climber. But the thing is, and I understand that, so I'm really in the middle on this, but I understand that part. But the thing is, there's other mountains.
Yeah, at this point, there's other mountains, there are other opportunities. I'm even for a waiver that's like saying, hey, the main issue is that we have unexperienced people doing this, or inexperienced people doing this. If you can have a waiver that shows you've taken this amount of training, this many hours of preparation for this, then yeah, sure, we'll waive the $15,000, or 15,000 euros. Dollars is essentially the same now anyways with the conversion rate. Maybe we figure out, we'll keep your emergency contact info, and we'll figure out how to chase that back if, again, haven't been in a different situation. But I feel like the people you could potentially turn off from this kind of exercise, it doesn't outweigh the fact that you can have people who are abusing this privilege of being able to use this mountain, which does have externalities on the taxpayers who live in the region. I think that this is a good sort of balance.
We'll check and see what you guys had to say about it. But really quick, my last thought also, which I overlooked too. Part of it, if it's such a dangerous thing, we got rock slides and whatever else was going on here. The rescuers are humans. Just because they're rescuers doesn't mean that rock slides and disasters aren't gonna affect them. It could potentially kill them as well.
Absolutely.
Just thinking about it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.